Well, welcome everybody. This is Frankly Speaking Canes Football. I'm here with my brother Robert Powell. We're excited to see you guys. Week 5, go Canes. We're catapulting into the ACC schedule. We're going in 4-0. It's going to be a monumental day on Saturday, and we're going to give you our takes on the game. On3 has went ahead and put us as a spoiler alert for that game, being the fact that for the last 3 years, we've always lost coming off a bye. So we're hoping that won't happen. But Robert has a very special announcement that he's got to make for our channel. And I'm gonna toss it to you. And if you guys don't mind, while he's speaking to you, I'm gonna pull up a special sponsor. Robert, go right ahead.
Are you guys working harder for more money just to make ends meet? It's not just you. And you're not alone. Higher costs and added financial pressures on families today are causing fear, uncertainty, and doubt. On a larger scale, are you aware that as of 2017, 44% of Americans said they could not cover a $400 emergency expense? They would have to rely on credit cards, selling things, and borrowing money just to meet those particular events. What is happening with your money? It's really all in the numbers. Prices are going up. Everything from home-cooked meals up 43%, car insurance up 97%, and water and sewers is up 133%. So what is it? What's causing this? Overall inflation. It's the increased money supply. And our sponsors have they have an answer to that. And as you can see on your screen, if you just go to oursilverrush.com and get some more information. But we'd like to thank our sponsors, and you get a chance, check them out. They have a very good options and solutions to address some of the things we're seeing within our society, within the country in terms of overall inflation, to make our money go just a little bit further. So excited to have them as sponsors, and looking forward to sharing more of what they have in store. Thank you.
Yeah, and Robert, we're really excited about this group and this company because it does give you an opportunity to build a business for residual income, not just to be able to purchase to keep the value of your money, but also to be able to build a business that will afford you some residual income going forward. So please listen to Rob. We're excited about this sponsor. We're super excited about oursilverrush.com. All right, the first thing I wanted to do, guys, is I wanted to give you guys an idea, because Rob, I think you and I will agree that what happened last week is a mirage. Okay, they got beat by an inferior team. This doesn't normally happen. So what we're going to do is, instead of evaluating last week's game tape, we're going to take a look at some of the players and some of the things that they like to do on offense and defense with a condensed game on the ACC network here of Georgia Tech versus Wake Forest, which was the big win. These guys beat Wake Forest, so they're not somebody to be trifled over. They're somebody that you've got to really pay attention to. You've got to spend your time, your due diligence, game plan, and it is a trap game. And you and I both know we've come out of bye weeks and the team has performed poorly. So we're hoping that they're going to buck that trend, and this will be a large test going forward. So I fully expect that we're going to suit up our number ones, and you're going to see them probably playing late into the fourth quarter to make sure everything's working smoothly. Let me go ahead and play this here for you, Rob. Let's see. This is in the first quarter. Here we go.
This season, that's going.
Let me back it up just a little bit. Here we go.
Breaks a tackle and then taken down short of the 25-yard line. Okay. Return of 22 yards to get it started for Georgia Tech. Coming into this game, with his feet by himself some time, and can really swing it around the yard as well. Thrown for over 300 yards in each of the Yellow Jacket games.
Okay, their quarterback Haynes King is a pretty good quarterback. He was, I believe, a Texas A&M transfer that went over there, and the guy can play some serious ball, so he can throw the ball. I think he's throwing as about 64% completion ratio.
And I think he's doing about 300 yards per game as well. So he certainly can sling it across the yard.
Georgia Tech is fourth best on third down in the conference.
Okay, they ran the running back out of the backfield. That seems to be one of their big bread and butter plays. And one of the problems that we have is we've been dropping the defensive ends into coverage, into zone coverage, and they're going to be looking to match up their running backs against our linebackers and DNs if we're doing that. So I expect them to try and exploit that. So I think that our defensive coordinator is probably going to change that up.
Well, I think that the thing with that is that you don't know when we're going to do that.
Right.
So I don't think that they drop that defensive end on every play when that running back comes out of there. I think they do mix it up. So it's going to be a guessing game as to when to do that.
I totally agree. The other thing I think we're going to have to do is we're going to have to put Williams in the box because of his size and the ability to cover the running backs, because our two running backs, Lasaint and the kid from Louisville, I can't remember. Yeah, from Louisville, they're just not playing as well as we would hope. And I think you're going to see Williams in there probably 30 to 40% of the time in the box because we're going to shut down their run to start out with. But the vulnerability that they're going to be looking at is in the middle of the field. So Kiko's going to have a big game. So
Yep.
Haynes trying to dive forward, maybe a couple of yards short on the 11-yard pass play from King.
And they beat Wake Forest, didn't they?
Moore, fair catch at about the 21-yard line, almost 4.5 seconds. And he's tough. You find a way and scrap and win. Threw for over 300 yards. He would come from behind, win against Old Dominion. First down on the catch, 11 yards. Keyshawn Williams went up to grab it. The chains are moving. Back in 06 in the ACC, they both have 77 career wins. No credit. Rippets. That's up near the 45, and that is
okay. One thing I noticed is they were bringing 5 on that play, and they weren't able to get to the quarterback.
Yeah,
our offensive line should have a pretty good run at these guys as far as protecting the quarterback.
it is stated that their weakness is their defensive front, and the belief is that we should be able to run fairly successfully against them.
One of the most underrated and outstanding defensive line in all of his time, without question. Watch 91. You know the Kings be watching.
Rob, they got some pretty tall receivers too.
Athletic. Yeah. Yep. I will say, if we don't get to them, it's going to be a problem. But I think with our blitz packages and our ability to put pressure on a quarterback, it is going to be a different type situation for them.
So watching that for a minute, what are your thoughts? They can throw the ball deep, as you can see. They've got some tall receivers. They had some protection. They can move the ball. They can also run the ball. They've got 2 running backs that are averaging over 5 yards a carry. So what are your thoughts on what you've seen so far?
Well, I had a chance to watch them a little bit over the past couple of weeks. And I think, as I stated, their defensive front isn't, it's not a strength of theirs. And with the improvement of our offensive line, our running backs, and the decisions that TVD will be making, I think, it is a strong possibility that they're going to have a long day. I think that we're going to come out, we're going to pound the ball, we're going to start running the ball. That's what we're going to do. And we just have the kind of coaching philosophy with the new coaching staff. Until you stop us, we're not stopping. Right. So we'll see how it pans out, but that's my gut feel.
Okay. I also want to share with you guys Shannon Dawson. Well, let's look at Lance Guidry on facing their offense, because I think the challenge, defensively, I think we should be good on the offensive side of the ball. We're going to score some points. The question is, will they be able to keep up? So let's listen to Lance Guidry here on his assessment.
Sure.
We have to knock down some balls, especially early downs to get him third and long. But he's good. He's a son of a former NFL great. So I had a chance to play against Kurt when we were in college. He played at Northern Iowa when I was at McNeese. Actually, his first start he ever started was against us at McNeese. And got to win.
Jason has been on the league start. Got here kind of late. What did he do to earn that starting position when he made himself having the hot?
You could tell when he came in, he had a lot of experience just by the way he acted, the way he played, the way he communicated, and There's nothing like game experience, like I alluded to earlier, and he's just a plug and play guy. You can put him anywhere. You can play him at safety, nickel, corner. So he's earned his stripes, and the players know that he has. So going forward, he's a big leader on the defense, especially on the back end, and I think he'll play better and better.
What have you liked about your run defense?
Right now we're ranked high. I know it's a big question mark going in how we'd be able to stop the run, and but we've done a good job. I think we tackled well. That's why we stopped the run. Even on some plays they got through, we didn't allow a hole through the middle to get a bigger run. We came in and made the tackle and got them down, and of course lost yardage plays goes against run plays, and so a lot of times when you sack a quarterback or get TFLs, it goes against the rush. So. But I think we've done well. We need to continue to stop the run and make it more conventional.
How does Ruben make it compare to other rushers that you have off of those starting like he's probably already?
I've never coached a freshman like him since I've been. I've had some older guys as good as him, but a freshman to be that powerful, that mature, it's got a lot of unique skill sets. He's going to continue to be better. I'm excited to see him in the future. Doing awesome. He's doing really good. He's got a lot of confidence right now, playing the nickel spot. He messed around a little bit with corner in fall camp, but he's kind of settled into where he's our nickel guy, and which he has experience at, and he's playing at a high level right now, and he needs to continue. And I'm happy with the way he's playing. Chase is, of course, he doesn't have a lot of game reps. Chase is coming off that injury. So every time he gets in the game, it's a new experience, but he's fast and he sees things and he triggers, and he's got a bright future. The more he plays, the better he's going to get. I would bet probably on the back end of the season, he would probably be in the game in a lot more meaningful reps. But if he stays healthy, that guy's got a chance to be a really, really good one. He did good. James, like if we're watching film and we're making checks, James is usually the guy who comes up to answer first. Cam's always the more calm guy. He's like the quarterback on the field. So out on the field, Cam makes most of the checks. He weathers the storms a little bit better, but James did a great job of leading Harris, which was his first start, and James did awesome, which I knew he would. James is really into the game plan. He's really smart, and he did a good job of being the leader back there.
What do you think of the product you guys have to play or
had some growing pains. Some of the freshmen had growing pains. I thought Harris came in and he did well. I know he's his second year in, but he came in, he's building confidence and he's playing well. Some of the freshmen were in there and they really wasn't ready to play in the game. But you got to get them experience at some time. So some of the young backers got in. That was good to see. And of course, our defensive line, a lot of young guys in there. He did. He should have blitzed 2 more times, and he didn't. He didn't get the check, so he might have made a couple more big hits if he'd have blitzed. But he's got a really good skill set. I could see him being a nickel, a safety. He could really play everything. He play corner as well, but I think a nickel spot's probably is best suited for him, probably best suited for us.
Okay, let's go. Let's transition off here and go to Shannon Dawson. Let's see here.
So I'm sure there's going to be some changes. How much they can change?
Any comments, Robert, on what you heard from Guidry and the rotation of players?
No, what he has stated is what I would expect, right? I think that the younger players still have ways to go, which can be expected. I think his comments on Bain is right on. I mean, the guy he's a freshman, but man, his maturity level as well as his playing. I mean, he's playing like a late sophomore, right? A late sophomore, early junior. So this is just going to do well for, we as fans and for the team as a whole to have someone like that growing up in the program as a freshman, because, the middle of next year, he's going to be, not going to be, he's going to, just be that much better. Now, was he talking about Chase?
Yes.
Who was
Remember
it?
Chase is
Yeah,
number 41.
yeah,
Yeah.
41.
He's one of the fastest linebackers and one of the larger linebackers that we inherited. Well, Mario inherited when he came in. And he's a heck of a ball player, but he was injured. And he's come back from the injury. So I think you're going to see a lot of him in the rotation because he's a sophomore. I think he's a redshirt sophomore, but he's a sophomore nonetheless. And he's got the athletic skills and the length to plug and play. I think along the same lines, he's going to try and get pressure with 4 down linemen, but he's probably going to have to go with 5 at times, and he's going to go with a 4-2 like Georgia Tech is doing as well, and do a lot of those stunts with the defensive line. So I think it's going to be very interesting how we match up because Georgia Tech's receivers are tall, lanky, and fast, and Wake Forest had a hard time with them one-on-one. So we're either going to have to get to that quarterback quickly and get him off his pivot points, make him move in the pocket, make him get out. Which, by the way, he can run the ball as well. So he is a dual threat. So they're going to have a spy on him. They're going to have a linebacker on him. So it's going to be interesting. But now I'm going to go ahead and play Shannon Dawson, his conference, and see what he has to say.
In a week, I don't know. I mean, I would doubt that it would be like wholesale change. It'd probably be little things here and there, I would guess. But yeah, it definitely changes our approach because.
Okay, I'm sorry, I got to rewind that a little bit. He's talking about they made a replacement at D coordinator for Georgia Tech in the middle of the week. With one of their, I think it was the linebackers coach took over, and they demoted the defensive coordinator who's going to coach another unit on the defense. But anyway, let's see what he has to say.
Changes, how much they can change in a week, I don't know. I mean, I would doubt that it would be like wholesale change. It'd probably be little things here and there, I would guess. But yeah, it definitely changes our approach because there's just elements of unknown. We got to go into the game and you got to have a plan, but you have to have a plan, to change if things are just completely different.
Even beyond the coaching change on defense, when you watch Georgia Tech and their personnel, what are some of the challenges?
They're a good looking unit. They're long, they're physical. It's a little bit of, what happened to them last week is every coach's fear. You go into games where you're favored and you hope that, kids respect opponents and you hope that kids go out and play. And you look across the nation, my man over here is talking about statistics. Well, I can tell you a statistic that's going to remain true to the end of time is half the teams win and half the teams lose every Saturday. That's 100% been the way every Saturday college football has ever been played. And so not all the time does the favorite win every time, right? It happens every week that, teams don't, respect their opponents the way that the coaches preach that they should respect them. And the other team comes out and they get things going, they get you on the heels, and then you're fighting,
Yeah,
so,
that's right.
I feel for where they were at last week because in my career, I've been there. Everybody that's coached football has been there. And so, but that's not the team that walks out onto the field every Saturday for them. You can see, the week before that wasn't the team, right? So ultimately, we're going to get their best effort. We know that. We don't know exactly schematically exactly what they're going to do. We have a idea based on what they've done, but are there going to be some wrinkles? I'm sure there will be.
You mentioned team that would be greater with it. One of the happy gives a favorite. You guys have to great opponents where you had even big favorite. How do you make sure the offense typically have fire in games like that?
Well, you preach the same thing and you hope your kids are listening. There's no, formula that I can sit here and tell you that, look, this is the exact way to do it. If there was, then somebody would bottle it, sell it, and make a lot of money because every team out there every week struggles with the same thing, right? Now, I'm very happy that so far this year that our kids have just went and played football. And hopefully you get to the point to where you go out on the field and play football regardless of what the score is, regardless of who the opponent is. It's just 11 guys on the football field execute football. Don't look at the scoreboard because that'll lie to you. Don't look at the other team's uniforms because that'll lie to you. All you got to worry about is your job, and so, understanding that, there's a reason why we're at this point, and it's because we're doing things a certain way. Keep doing it, right? Because ultimately all it takes is a little slip and things could go the other way. But, put blinders on. The biggest deal is there's a lot of praise going around right now, which is dangerous. I think everybody can understand that.
Here it comes.
And my biggest message to guys is, look, man, and not to say that anybody in here are those guys, but
they are.
those the same guys that'll rip you when you don't do good too, right? So just stay right there in the middle and even keel and do your job, and so that's where you start doing that, you become a pretty efficient team.
Okay, what are your thoughts on what you heard from our pal there?
Well, I mean, he rightfully so recognized that there's going to be some changes, simply because of the changes that they made on the defensive side from a coaching perspective. I think that the positive thing is that we're catching them early in that transition, right? They're not going to change a whole lot. They just don't have time. It's 1 week, right? Now, how they look 3 or 4 games from now may be different, right? And even this late into the season, is this new coordinator going to be able to really make enough changes to propel them in a different direction? Certainly not within 1 week. However, I think we'll have enough flexibility in our game plan and enough recognition to say, hey, these are the weaknesses we saw in the past. Most likely they're going to try to close these up. If they do that, then these other options may open for us. So, it's a chess game.
Yeah.
And they have to figure out how to maneuver and how to deal with that appropriately based on the personnel and coaching strategies that they're going to put in place.
I also think that there's going to be some changes on our offensive attacking scheme. I actually think we're going to go from a 12-man set to a 13-man set. I think they're going to have plays designed for 3 tight end sets. I think Arroyo's going to be in there along with McCormick and Williams at the same time. And then you're going to have Williams and Arroyo in there. And I think you're going to see a lot of, like you mentioned, Robert, earlier, power football. Stop the run first before to loosen it up. And they're going to have to stop the run. They're going to put 7, 8, 9 men in the box to stop the run. So it's going to be very interesting. So I think at that point, they're going to have to utilize the tight end out of the backfield, or the tight end coming across the middle of the field between the hashes for some short plays along with Restrepo. I think you're going to see a lot of that to loosen up their defense and then to be able to take the long shots. So as far as personnel, I think you're going to see Arroyo get probably about 20 snaps. I don't think they're going to want to give him too many to get him ready for North Carolina. But I do think, this is just on a personal note, I think they've got to get the running backs involved in the passing game. We have not successfully done that in 4 games. I think there's at least 4 plays. Go ahead.
Yeah, but do you think that's something that they're holding back? Because you're right. I don't, other than a swing pass, that long extended run play that they disguise with a pass, I don't recall. I mean, and it has to be in a playbook. It must be in a playbook. But there was no need to show that at this point in time.
Well, my fear with it is they ran it 3 times this year, and all 3 times Parrish dropped the ball. So my concern is you're going to have to practice it in live action, at least to prove that you can do it.
Yeah.
And I think that play would be a very big play against North Carolina. I agree with you. You don't want to show too much of it, but I think North Carolina's defense is similar to Georgia Tech in that it's a 4-2-5, and they're going to, and the middle is going to be open. There's going to be the middle is open with North Carolina. So if you can exploit the middle, whether it's with the X-Man running across the middle, some of the, there's a lot of different ways you can do it. But with the backs at it right now, what they've been really doing is holding the running backs back to a block. They've been back there in the backfield. When they've had the backs in there, it's been okay, max protection, which I totally get and I understand. But it's going to be interesting to see if they do that, because I think a wheel route, something like that, if they get the backs involved, it's really going to loosen up that defense with the pass rush, because you think you're coming in, but it's a quick pass. I think it's going to be very dangerous for them. And the more looks you can give North Carolina or to think about, the better, because that's going to be the test. But I also don't believe, and you correct me if I'm wrong, mentally, I don't think Miami's looking past Georgia Tech in the least. I think Mario's fully aware of what happened last year. He's fully aware of how we performed after the bye week. He's fully aware of all these things. And you didn't catch it, but I did see the Georgia Tech head coach press conference on Miami. And the reporters, what they typically do is they pick you apart when you've come off a loss, and they're talking about the locker room being in disarray and players accusing other players of not doing their job and so forth. So, that's not to say that they're not going to come out and put out a tremendous effort, but if you look at the body language and everything else, they're desperate, which tells me that it's either going to be a really tough game or they're going to lay down early because of the transitions. So it's going to be interesting. The fact that it's at our house is a comfort, but we'll see what happens. But I wanted to get your thoughts on that. How you would, because they can throw the ball. They're 60. Our secondary is going to get tested like it hasn't been tested. Okay. Going in, and North Carolina, we know that that's going to be a massive test. And you're going to have to contain Mays, the quarterback at North Carolina. And that's going to be a major issue. So this is a good warm up to that. But if they can't contain this quarterback, King, they're going to have a lot of trouble with North Carolina. So I'm really curious to see. And these guys got tall, lanky receivers. They got pretty good running backs. They've got a decent offensive line. So it's going to be a real test. And they're coming in with fire because it's a do or die for them. The season's gone. They lose this game. What are your thoughts?
No. I actually, in the same boat as far as what you just shared. The key is going to be the front, right? The front four, as far as the pressure that we could put on front three, linebackers, the blitzing pack, the blitz packages that we put in play. And our defensive coordinator is not afraid to blitz. I mean, he really mixes up. He blitz corners, he blitz linebackers. So he's very aggressive in that way. So it will be telling, just how they plan to really address that from a offensive standpoint. So we will see. Definitely understand the quarterback is good. They got the good receivers, but will their offensive line hold up against the various schemes and approaches that are the different types of attacks that we'll put on?
I agree. It's really gonna. Like you said, it always comes down to the line of scrimmage on the defensive side and the offensive side. Whoever wins the line of scrimmage is going to win, because it really does boil down to that. Now, I wanted to ask you. That being said, from a score standpoint, what are your predictions for this game at Georgia Tech? Being a Saturday night, 8 o'clock.
They're gonna be hyped. We are coming out in the Miami night outfits. 41-17 Canes.
I like it. There's also going to be a lot of recruits that are going to be in that game. There's at least 4, I believe it's 4 5-star wide receivers in this class, including the kid Smith that's committed to Ohio State that's going to be there. So it's going to be important that we have an offensive showcase for these kids. I agree with you. I'm thinking that it's going to be closer to 48 to like 20 or 48-17. I think it's going to be that kind of game. And I think they're going to run the ball. If you were to guess, what would you say the passing yards would be and the running yards would be?
I think it's going to be evenly split. I
Right.
think we're going to have somewhere around 400, and it's going to be split right down the middle, 200 rushing, 200 plus passing. So
Fantastic.
I think that we're going to be somewhere around 450 total yards.
Wow.
And I think that it's going to be somewhat balanced based on just what we've seen throughout the year. I think that we're going to go run heavy. Georgia Tech is going to try to stop the run. Then we're going to start passing and going to be in this back and forth. But I think it's going to be boom. I think Chaney's going to have a big day. I think that Allen is going to come in. Whatever situation they had, I think that probably be resolved. Then of course you're going to have Harris, who's going to get his. So I say that they'll have somewhere between them 70, 80 yards apiece, somewhere in that distribution. And that's not far-fetched. Those three backs throughout the game, you feed them, they can get 60, 70 yards apiece. So there you are at your 200, 250 running. And, Tyler is going to get his.
Right.
So
I totally. Do you think we're going to see Tyler tuck the ball and run on some of those read options?
Yes, only if it's absolutely clear. But here's the deal. You and I saw it when we were at the game.
Temple, yeah.
Teams going to have to prepare for that. Because if those defensive ends crash hard, he's going to pull up and he can pick up 10, 12 yards.
Yes.
Real quick.
Yeah.
And so that will slow those defensive ends from rushing so hard. And then now that opens up the running game even more. But they better pay attention to it.
I totally agree. I think that they're going to give Allen they're going to give them a heavy dose of Allen and Chaney. And I think what they're going to do is you're going to see Parrish in there, but they're going to hold Parrish back a little bit in the number of carries because he's your go-to guy. He's your jack of all trades. He's a guy that's good at run blocking, good at, pass catching. We haven't seen it, but good at pass catching and good at running the ball. And you need him to be in top shape for the North Carolina game. So I think if they can get by with giving the bulk of the load to Chaney, to Allen, and even to Fletcher, even some of the runs to Fletcher, some of the runs to Fletcher. But you and I noticed it with Fletcher. There's a hesitancy to get in the hole.
Yeah.
The more I thought about it, it's not that he's not quick enough. It's that he's hesitating. He's hesitating to find the hole because he's learning the system. I think once that is removed, and that only happens through reps, then you're going to be able to see the power and the shoulder pad length. That's the other thing too, is he's not showing a short profile when he's going through the holes. He's standing up a little bit, and I think you'll see a lot of that. But I also think you might see a little bit of Chris Johnson, because if you put him in the backfield and you run a couple passes at him, he's a guy that can take it to the house on every single play. And you're going to see a little bit of more of Ray. They talked about that too. Some of the young kids that are going to get more time. Brashard Smith is another guy that's supposed to be getting a lot more time or snaps in these games coming up. So I agree with you. It's going to be interesting to see. My big issue is I think if they build a lead, they've got to go very conservative on snap counts. I think they've got to be very judicial, because you got to come out of this game without any injuries, because now you're going to go into the meat of the schedule with North Carolina. Rob, what do we got? We got North Carolina coming up. After North Carolina, who do we go to?
Oh, geez.
Is it Clemson?
Yes, that's right. That's right.
It's back to back, right? No, wait a minute.
No, I'm sorry. It's North Carolina, Virginia, then Clemson.
But it's North Carolina's away.
Wait a minute. No, I'm sorry. I got that wrong.
Right.
We have North Carolina, not this weekend, next weekend,
right,
the 15th. Right. Then.
But that's away.
Yeah.
Right?
No, I'm sorry. It is Clemson.
It is Clemson. Is that away? North Carolina's away, right? Yes.
Yep. Yes.
And then we
North Carolina's away.
We come back home for Clemson. And I don't
Clemson.
care, and I don't care what anybody says. In my book, that's the toughest game on the schedule for us this year. That and Florida State, and you can swap them back and forth. But if you're going to play North Carolina and then come back and play Clemson, I don't care if you're coming back home. You have got to come out of North Carolina with a convincing win and relatively unscathed, because you're going to have, it's going to be physical. Clemson's
is.
going to be North Carolina. They'll beat you, but it's typically, well, they beat us up pretty good with the run on a couple occasions. It can be a physical game, but the real physical game is going to be Clemson. So we're going to have to be ready for that. So your thoughts on player management and what you see the rotations being, as far as tight end. Do you go with more than 15 or 20 snaps for Arroyo in the game? You know, now that he's just coming back, and his injury was a hamstring, by the way, from what I understand.
It was a hamstring.
Yeah, hamstring can keep you out for 5-6 weeks. Yeah, my understanding is that wasn't the original injury, but I think he got injured with a hamstring, and that's what's been keeping him
Oh,
out.
geez, my goodness.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that now that we're into the ACC, I don't think there's going to be any holding back. I think that they're going to play based on what they're seeing the opponent giving them. Is none of this, oh, let's hold back, this and that. I think that we're going to start seeing the playbook even more so. I think we're going to see things we haven't seen in the first 4 games. I think the closest thing that we may have seen in the opening of the book is A&M, Texas A&M. The rest of the games, you know, we were able to handle with pretty basic game plan.
Wow.
So as far as
we got Louisville after Clemson, right? Then Florida State, and then Boston College.
Wait,
There's 8 games left.
No. We have, after Clemson, we have Virginia.
Okay.
After Virginia, we have Louisville, then Florida State. Florida State is November 10th. So there's someone between the
Louisville and Florida State. I know Boston College is the last game.
Yeah, I think it goes Florida State, Louisville, Boston College. So it means that before Florida State,
Virginia,
we have to have someone between Virginia and Florida State. No, we don't. It's Virginia, then Florida State.
Wow,
that's it.
So we got the only soft opponent in that schedule is Virginia and Boston College out of the 8 games that we got coming up. So we got 6 teams that can beat us.
Well, you know how I feel about Boston College.
No, I get it. And
going up to Boston College is never easy for the University of Miami.
For anybody.
Never.
That's got that home cooking up there.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, that'll be an interesting game. So we'll see. So anyway, so you're 41-17.
Yep.
More or less. I'm going 48-17 or 20. I think they're going to score more points, and we'll see how that goes. And we'll wrap it up here, Rob. I want to thank you so much. I want to thank our sponsor again. And we look forward to talking to you guys after the game. And we're just praying that everybody on both sides of the ball, Georgia Tech and Miami, come out unscathed and healthy after this game, and that it's a big win for the Canes. So everybody, make sure you hit your like, subscribe, and share buttons on here, and share this with your friends and family. And go Canes.
Go Canes.
Thank you. And
Let's
we'll see you guys at the game. God bless.
All right. Bye-bye.